So my name is Jonathan Pinkse, and I will be talking about the green tech part more of this conference. As for me, this is, I used to do this indeed, see real people, but it's such a cliche, but it is really a weird feeling. Looking at green tech, we really see that COVID might also have affected that, partly by going online. Actually, it's really good for the environment, so a lot of things are really good. We're also afraid a little bit that the focus on COVID would really push away everything to do with climate change, because now we have something else to worry about. But that's not really happening. The green tech development is really moving along, and this becoming more and more important for businesses. So this is an opportunity. But I'm an academic. I'm from a business school, so I do see the opportunity, but I also want to be your conscience a little bit. When we talk about green tech, what is it that we want to achieve? As a business, you want to achieve that people actually start buying your products. But we also want to get something else out of it. We want to actually improve the environment. We want to avoid having the climate emergency occurring. So I want to bring out the green, basically. Simple question to you. Is this product green? It's a trick question. Because it is green, indeed, because I chose a product with a green color. But this product is symbolizing a lot of these complexities of such a simple product. Because is it green? Well, it depends. Is it green in terms of environmentally friendly? Well, how it was made, not so sure, because probably there's a lot of metal in it that needed to be mined, that whole process, a lot of environmental impact. There's a battery in it. We all know the misery of batteries. We don't really know how we're going to recycle those. But then it's also how it's being used, because we want to see this as a green product because we are hoping that it is a replacement for cars. And so now you're using your car, and now you're going to then use this e-scooter. So we're a happier society. But it's not really what's happening. People are not using such an e-scooter as a replacement for a car, but they're using it as a replacement for good old legs. So we used to walk or cycle. I'm Dutch, so I would use my bicycle. And now I'm using an e-scooter. They are fast. They sometimes try to hit me when I'm on my bicycle. They come across the corner. So I don't necessarily consider them maybe as a green product. But when you would look at startups coming up with green products, this will probably be featuring. And it can be. It depends on how it's going to be used. So that's what I want to talk about a little bit. How can you, through your product design and your marketing, also think about how are people actually going to use my product? And is that actually leading to sustainable behavior? Are people actually changing their behavior? And this is very difficult because, as you probably all know, we don't really like changing behavior. We did it now because of the COVID crisis, but we can't wait to go back, get in an airplane. Trust me, I really miss airports. So that's the thing a little bit. How are you going to do that? So this is symbolizing the green tech revolution, I would say, a Tesla. But it's also symbolizing what is good about it and what is bad about it. What is good? It's a user experience. People that drive a Tesla love it, with all the tech in it and so forth. But you also have to learn how to use it. Because this is, I think, in Death Valley, the idea is to symbolize here, what if you get stuck? Still the battery can't get you as far as you might want to. So this is always problematic with electric vehicles. People have to learn how to use it, because you can't use it as your normal car, because you can't drive as of yet as far as you're used to. So this change in behavior, that makes it tricky. So what do we talk about then as academics? We talk about a thing called sustainability affordances. Ignore that, but I'll explain it in a minute. But the question is, with such a product, what is actually the environmental benefit? What can it really do? What is an affordance? I'll explain it with these three objects. The first, a door handle. You probably all know how to open a door with this, because we've learned to do this. My cat was even smart enough that it learned how to open the door with it, because it would just jump up. So I had to change it so it was like that. And then after a few weeks he forgot that he could do that. But then I bought a house and I couldn't lock the door. I just couldn't figure it out. It turned out to be the case, you probably noticed. I first had to do this before I could lock the door. This is kind of complex. So basically you have a very simple product, but it can do a lot more than you expected at first hand. The second part, I don't know if you know these kind of cartons of milk. If you've ever been to a conference in the Netherlands, you'll get lunch and they will serve you with such a carton. It's always a beautiful moment because you see the non-Dutch people looking at it. First of all, why would I want to drink milk for lunch? And second of all, how do I open it? Because this is also something you learn as a kid in the Netherlands, how to open it. It's a folding mechanism. It's a beautiful thing, but it's really tricky. We call this a hidden affordance. It doesn't show immediately. We don't know how to use it. And this is with many green products as well. We don't necessarily know how to use it properly, and because of that, we're not using it in a way that might actually be better for the environment, using less energy and so forth. So it is the role of the designer to do this in a way that people get it and that they will change their behavior. But affordances is also more about what can a product actually do more naturally because of the materials that you've been using. So that's why I'm showing this little bag, which is not a plastic bag, because that's the whole point of the bag, because it's biodegradable. But you also see the limits here of green products, because you probably all have used such a bag before, and you know what happens when you put groceries in the bag. You won't get to your house. It's not as strong. The material properties are not there yet that it's as strong as good old plastic bag, although these things can happen with plastic bags as well. And this is how we very often see green products. They're not yet good enough. We need to improve them. And that is still, to some extent, the case. So that needs a lot of R&D. So what do you focus on? When you think about what can I do with my product? What can I do with my green product? And how can I change behavior? The first thing you have to think about, what is it making it a green product? Because we talk about green sustainability as if it's one problem that we need to solve. But it's actually a lot of different things. Nowadays, we talk a lot about the net zero agenda. That's the climate change emergency. But that's not the only problem we're facing. Here, picture of waste, plastic waste in oceans, is linked a little bit because a lot of plastic is made from oil, so you could argue it has to do with climate change, but not necessarily. This is also killing off a lot of animals, a lot of fish, and that is more a biodiversity issue. So this is more about the circular economy. Then there are all kinds of other things, health, pollution. So you have to think about, with my product, what can it actually do, and which specific kind of sustainability issue am I addressing? And hopefully you can design it that it can do it all. That it is lower carbon, that it is really recyclable, that you really think about the circular economy. But if you emphasize that all in your marketing, you'll confuse the hell out of your customers. So you have to think of what resonates with people. What is this product really symbolizing that people say, oh, this is how I can use it in a different way. This really makes it a green product that I want to buy. And that depends on the times. So sometimes we talk more about climate change, then we talk more about plastic waste. So you might have to think about, okay, what is it that I'm actually emphasizing? Design it in a way that it is green in all kinds of different ways, but in your marketing, really stress one thing that resonates with the customers you try to sell to. The second part is all about how can you make your green product actually more functional and exciting? Because just having it there for being green is not enough. Green sells better and better, but not purely in isolation. So you have to really think about what else can it do. So you probably all know this product, the Nest, now owned by Google. It's a thermostat, it's smart, it adjusts the heating in your house depending on your behavior. It has been a big success. You can argue because it's a green product, because you can save energy. But that's probably not why people are buying this. Why are they buying it? It's a cool product. It's a fantastic design. People just like it. It looks great. It also has this techie side to it. The inner nerd in you thinks like, this is nice. I like this. And this is typically how we behave as people. We are not just looking for one goal that needs to be addressed. We have several different types of goals that we try to address. So academically, we talk about gain goals. What can I actually win from it? Can I reduce my energy consumption using this product? But also about hedonic goals. Does it make me feel better? That is like, oh, I'm proud of this product. And of course, the normative goal. Is this the right thing to do? And the environment very often comes in with the normative goal. You want to save the world. And that's why I'm going to buy this product. But actually, if you want to save the world, you want to buy a new car, and you can either go for a Tesla or a Nissan Leaf, most of you want to go for the Tesla. Why? Because it's a cooler car, and that's your hedonic goal. And then it can also drive further, so you don't have to refuel as often. So you also think it has proper benefits that you can actually get to your destination, which is a nice bonus with a car. So all these things together are playing at the same time when you, as people, want to buy a product. And it becomes very tricky then for yourself as a marketeer to say, what am I emphasizing? Which part of the equation is actually most important? And in the end, you have to see it as a bundle. Try to see the combination of those. So it's not just green for the sake of green, but it also needs to have good design. It needs to be usable. It needs to give you a new user experience. And it's all combined. But you have to realize that a lot of the green products are first needing some kind of compromise. If you want to have an electric vehicle, you can't drive as far as you can with your current diesel-powered car. So people have to find some kind of compromise. But don't focus too much on what you can't do with a green product, but think more in terms of the experience. What new things can you do? Where is it exciting? And this is where the technology side of things can be really beneficial. Can you design it in such a way that you can do a lot more with it? So the final thing, and this is the trickier part, because you can make great green products, and people might love it, and people are buying them, but are they using it in the right way? This is very difficult, because very often they need to learn to change behavior. And as I said already, we don't necessarily like that. So how do you push people? On the one hand, you might say, okay, I need to make it simple. So if I make a green product simple in terms of you can use it in a more energy efficient way, then if that's the default, that's good. People then automatically behave in a green way. But I argue that that might be the wrong approach. Why? Because if it all is done for you, and you don't have to think about it, then you're not going to change behavior. You're just going to behave as before. And this can lead to so-called rebound effects, that you're now just not worrying anymore at all about the energy use of your products, because they will switch off automatically when you're not using them. But still, you're maybe using them a lot more because of that. Because it's all so easy. So somehow, it shouldn't be too easy. You have to get people to think, how can I change? And this is really difficult, because if you really do it where people feel like, oh, I can no longer do what I wanted to do with the product, they start hating it. But if it's too smooth, they never think about how they can change. So when you look, for example, at this bin, there are many different approaches of how to do recycling. The easiest for us is to have one bin for everything, basically. It's a bit the Manchester approach. You throw it in and let them sort it out later on. Well, in Germany, you've probably been there, they have a lot of bins. And you need proper education to know what is going where. What is better? Is it better to do it at the end of the chain, that people don't have to think about it? Or is it better to really, at the start, where the problem is, get people to sort it out? Research is showing that actually the rate of recycling and the rate of reusing products is higher if people do a really good job at the start. So you have all these different bins and you do your learning. But it will take time. And you need to get people to really think about that all the time. So this is the difficult part. What are you going to do? Are you going to make people's lives slightly miserable, but then they become greener? Or do you make it really easy? I opt for the slightly miserable. And hopefully, over time, they realize it's not that miserable. It's a bit like your Zoom experience. You all know it was a bit slightly miserable, and now we're used to it. And now a bit like, I had to take the train this morning. It's such a weird experience. Can I just not be in my home office? I like it so much. It's my little cave. So you see, you get used to it. It's all about learning. People need to learn to change behavior. So what you offer with your green product is not necessarily purely replacing what people were doing before. It's giving a new experience. And that's what you then need to emphasize. So I believe, because I work for a business school, in the power of marketing, product design and marketing. We tend to focus, and we do that a lot because I'm a director of an innovation research center, on the technology. And the technology is important, but it's really how you package the technology. It is the product, the experience, everything around that. And this is where there are a lot of business opportunities, because a lot of the technology does not need to be developed. It's already there, but it's how you package it, bundle it, and change. And that can be for end consumers, what I emphasize more here, but of course for business to business consumers as well, within your company and so forth. In the end, it's all, how do I get people to change their behavior, and how can I kind of almost trick them into it, basically. Gamify things, different experience, and so forth. That is where the challenge is. So what is then an affordance? An affordance is all about what can you do to a product that people can use it in a way that brings them some kind of joy, that they say, oh, I now use this in this way. Never thought about it. I used to have a neighbor, he had a flex fuel car, and I had to explain to him that I could use biofuels for that car. He had absolutely no clue why it was a lease car and this is the model he got. And this is partly the trap we have faced with the green revolution, that people don't really know how to get a green product to be used green. So that's the challenge I want to give to you, and hopefully you can think about your own products and how you can change them, because in the end, we're in it together. We're facing the problems together as well, and that's part of the green revolution. It is based on academic research, but I also have a blog. This is on the website of Pro Manchester. But if you want to dig into the more theoretical stuff, it's open access. You can read it. It's in English, but it is academic English, so my apologies for that. But I tried to translate it here in normal English, although it's still my Dutch English. But hey, so be it. Thank you very much.
A huge, huge thank you, Jonathan. It seems everyone's a bit quiet on the questions board at the moment, but are you sticking around for a little bit? Because I think quite a few people in the audience here will perhaps like to come and talk to you separately, if that's okay with